Hey everybody, how's it going? Matthew Kadish here, author of the Earthman Jack Space Saga, which you can find over on Amazon.com, so please go support me by checking it out. Today we've got some really exciting news, which is about Farscape. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with Farscape, it was a science fiction TV show that was kind of produced by the Jim Henson puppet shop. They made all types of interesting kind of like animatronic characters for the show, but it was just like a really fun, cool, exciting science fiction show back in a time when there wasn't a whole lot of good science fiction on TV. And I've been a fan of this series for a really long time, and I'm really kind of excited to see that there could be a revival coming. Now, keep in mind that this has been, that basically Farscape has been promised a revival for a really long time, and they haven't quite gotten their act together yet, but I think there's hope for it now, and I will tell you why after I get through this article on comicbook.com about what the creators of Farscape are teasing in terms of bringing the show back. So let's get right to it. Fans may soon be able to return to the world of Farscape. Series creator Rockney S. O'Bannon and the Jim Henson Company's Brian Henson say they're working on a revival of the sci-fi series. The two were on hand for Farscape's 20th anniversary panel at San Diego Comic-Con 2019. They say that they've never stopped trying to bring Farscape back and tease that something may be on the way soon. For a number of years, we wanted to continue Farscape in movies, Henson said. He went on to say that the story they want to tell won't fit into a single 2-hour block, so they've gone back to looking at television. O'Bannon assured fans, "We're not done with Farscape." Farscape was an Australian-American sci-fi series produced for the Nine Network. O'Bannon created the series, and the Jim Henson Company and Hallmark Entertainment produced. The Jim Henson Company focused on the show's extensive prosthetics and makeup. The Creature Shop even created 2 animatronic puppets as series regulars, Rigel and Pilot. And Rigel's one of my favorites. Farscape was planned to run for 5 seasons, but was canceled after its 4th. The season ended with a cliffhanger suggesting 2 of the core characters had been killed. Henson later secured the rights to the series. In 2004, he directed a 3-hour miniseries, Farscape: The Peacekeeper Wars. The series resolved the cliffhanger and addressed some other lingering plot threads. Farscape starred Ben Browder as John Crichton, an American astronaut. Crichton travels through a wormhole and emerges in unfamiliar space. He winds up aboard a living ship named Moya. The ship is crewed by individuals on the run from a corrupt authoritarian military group called the Peacekeepers. On the same day that Crichton boards the ship, the crew also picks up a stranded peacekeeper named Aaron Sun. The rest of the crew includes a hot-headed warrior named Ka Dargo, an ex-priestess of a plant people named Pau Zota Zan, the deposed Emperor Donamar Rigel, whatever, the roguish Chiana, Moya's pilot, and the unstable Stark. The series follows the motley crew as Crichton searches for a wormhole back to Earth while evading peacekeepers. Throughout their journeys, the crew grows closer to one another, Crichton and Aaron in particular. At one point, plans for Farscape webisodes were announced. They never materialized, with O'Bannon and Henson citing issues with funding as the reason for the delays. So this is really exciting news, and I'll tell you why. So for the longest time, both Henson and O'Bannon have kind of been promising to bring Farscape back. And fans of the show have been really excited about this, but they've always been constantly disappointed. It's almost like George R. R. Martin with the writing of Winds of Winter. When's it going to come out? When's it going to come out? Next year, decades later, you're like, the book's still not out. And it's the same thing with Farscape revivals where, they keep saying, we're going to bring it back. But everything since the Peacekeeper Wars, there's been no new Farscape. There's been nothing new on the Farscape front, despite these promises. Well, the reason I think there's something to this now is that if you look at what the Jim Henson Company is doing with Netflix, they're making the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. And this is a hugely anticipated TV series, not just because of nostalgic factors, but it looks freaking amazing, and it's kind of like interesting to see them bring back, puppeteering and all this stuff. And Netflix has been really, kind of pushing the Dark Crystal show. And if it is a big hit for the Netflix network, basically Netflix is gearing up for what is coming to be known the streaming wars, because every major studio is creating their own streaming network. You have Warner Brothers doing HBO Max, you have Disney doing Disney Plus, you have other competitors like Amazon and Hulu, Apple's getting into the mix, and other networks, no doubt. CBS has their own streaming service, CBS All Access. So you have studios all over the place who are kind of gearing up to launch their own streaming services, and they're pulling their content from Netflix, which means that Netflix needs a lot more original content to keep their subscriber base happy and pull in new subscribers. And Farscape is prime material for an original series on Netflix. Not only does the Jim Henson Company have a current relationship with Netflix because of the Dark Crystal TV show, but Farscape has a very dedicated fan base spanning decades now. And that would pull in a lot of people into Netflix, because if they do like a Farscape Revival, old Farscape fans are going to definitely want to see it and they're going to subscribe. So I think that nowadays, the chances of Farscape coming back are much, much better than they were maybe 10 years ago. But I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with this, because one of the great things about Farscape was always its story and its characters. Farscape had amazing characters, really well-developed characters. Aliens, I mean, it was almost like a weird mishmash between Battlestar Galactica and Star Trek, where you had some very kind of hopeful, funny stuff going on, some optimistic stuff, and then you had some really dark things. One of the things that really got me into the show to begin with was the original crew in the first season. None of them trusted each other. None of them liked each other. They were all very suspicious, and they were always kind of plotting against one another. And these were the people that they were relying on to survive against a much greater threat. And so whenever the peacekeepers showed up, they had to find a way to work together and set aside their differences. And it was a very interesting, and I think for the time, very complicated show. It was definitely ahead of its time. And it didn't get the kind of exposure that it should have, because it was a very, very well-written show. And if they can bring back, the same cast members, if they can bring back a lot of the same writers, because the stories were what really carried the show. And one of the great things that I have a memory of when watching Farscape is just how tense the show got, because they did a really good job with their villains. Their villains were always guys that were very formidable, and they always put the heroes through a lot of stuff. And I'm really excited to see them come back with this, with maybe an increased budget from Netflix, so you can get the good special effects, and you can get the Jim Henson Company creating more puppets and animatronics and prosthetics and stuff for the aliens. Because one of the things that Farscape did really well was it's aliens. And I always kind of liked that whole Star Wars thing where, you had the aliens, they weren't CGI, they were physical, they were basically puppets. And something about that just feels cool to me. I don't know why. And I think Farscape really kind of captured that vibe to it. But what I want to know from you guys is, are you guys Farscape fans? Are you excited for a revival? Do you think my theory about it coming to fruition on Netflix is true? I would love to hear from you guys in the comments, because every comment you put on these videos really goes a long way to supporting the channel, and I also like interacting with you all. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and hit that little bell thingy so you get notified when new videos come up. I do videos daily. And for more movie, TV, and entertainment news and analysis, just subscribe to my channel, because I'm going to be doing a lot of it. Anyway, guys, this is Matthew Kadish, and I'll catch you in the next video.